So I'm going to tell you the story here, an interesting news story from Ubisoft. And as we all know, Ubisoft likes to talk and downplay us players. Ubisoft kind of views us as uptight movie stars who are too demanding, and I'm not sure why. But let me go ahead and just tell you a quick summary of the story. Basically, one of the individuals over at Ubisoft were discussing some of their games and talking about how 60 frames per second and resolution really doesn't matter. What matters is the smooth gameplay. And while I can sort of agree to that point, I kind of find it silly that these companies feel the need to speak out and defend their games that they develop. In fact, he even stated that the game, if it's a first-person shooter, it's better at 60 frames per second, or if it's a racing game, but action adventures are perfectly fine at 30 frames per second. And again, I agree, 30 frames per second is just fine for some games. However, many games do benefit from 60 frames per second instead. So, let me talk a little bit here. I'm going to openly admit that I don't know a lot about frames and resolution, but what I do know is that more, generally speaking, is better. The human eye can't see past a certain amount, and yet we can still tell the difference between a certain amount higher than what we can see. So while it may or may not be clinically proven that we can or cannot see a certain limit, the magic spot is kind of 24 frames per second. And anything going on, if it goes down below 24 frames per second, stuff really starts to get choppy, glitchy, it looks bad. You can blatantly see it. And anything lower than that looks really bad. If you guys really want to see this in action, Halo Reach has several moments in campaign mode where the frames really drop down below 30 and it looks bad. You can see it, it's just like you know, you're trying to move your character, and just for a couple seconds, just for a few minutes, it looks bad. So, saying that, I just, you know, I would like to take Ubisoft at face value here. I would like to say, okay, Ubisoft, you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. The games you develop don't need 60 frames per second. They don't even need to be 1080p, full HD, 4K, whatever people are wanting. But it's not true. See, the reason why Ubisoft is the company that's always speaking about this is because they have to cover up their games. Really. And I don't like saying this because Ubisoft does make some good games. Hell, they even bought Might and Magic, a series I absolutely love, and revived it from the cold dead that it was in. So, thank you for that, Ubisoft. My hat's off to you. However, having said that, I'm not going to sit here and shy away from the truth. Games like Watch Dogs being ported over on PC that are still not optimized. I've seen people do charts, graphs of 4-way SLI, 3-way SLI, 2-way SLI, and just single NVIDIA cards, and I could barely tell the difference. Some of the charts were so terrible, the game just looked like straight ass, frame rate wise, on different resolutions. It's when these things come out, when you have an outcry of fans telling you, why are you doing this, Ubisoft? Why won't you listen to your fans? And instead of explaining that you personally don't want to put the time in to develop this or that or the other, you come up with these excuses. You sit here and lie to us. It would be like if Ubisoft came and told us, you know, I know you enjoy popcorn, but let me tell you why popcorn's not that great. And I'm going to give you some chips or half a bag of popcorn instead of the whole bag of popcorn. And it's just like, I don't need you telling me why you feel like the resolution doesn't need to be at 60 frames per second. If you openly admit why you feel like not developing that, that's perfectly fine, but you can't lie about it and say, well, it's not that important. It's not that important in a third-person action-adventure game. There's still people on Steam type in hashtag remember watchdogs, hashtag never forget, and good for them. Good. When people forget things, companies seem to just do the same things over and over again. Nowadays, companies are releasing half-assed games that may or may not be completed. And these are the same things that Atari were doing back in the 1980s. Remember E.T.? Remember Pac-Man? Hello, guys. This stuff isn't new. And they released it, and it was shit. But back then, if they had an internet connection and were able to patch the games later on, do you think people would be in such an uproar? Maybe, maybe not. But people forget. And kids nowadays don't even have the luxury of remembering Atari because they weren't alive during those times. So it's kind of silly that we have executives, corporate faces saying why it's not important that we have the best of the best. It's okay. Don't worry about it, guys. The Xbox One doesn't support 60 frames per second. The PlayStation 4 won't support full 1080p at 60 frames per second. Don't worry about it. Let me tell you why it doesn't matter. It's more like we can't do it, and we're sorry we can't do it. We know it would look much better. We know it would be a much smoother and better experience, but we can't do it. And it's because of the console's fault, not our fault. Or it's our fault, and we don't have the time to do it. So we're sorry. But that rarely happens. So I'm Protomario, and I'm signing out. And please put your opinions in the section below. Please let me know. Is 60 frames, 1080p, everything that you need from your console nowadays? Or are you satisfied with 30 frames per second? Can you see the difference? Have you played games at lesser or more resolutions? And have you played games at more frames per second? I've played plenty of games that have over 100 frames per second. Risk of Rain, if you've never played it, go ahead and download it. It runs at 120 frames per second. And it looks fabulous. And it's a smooth experience. So thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to click like if you did, and don't forget to comment down below. I'm Protomario, and I'm signing out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching my video, and please consider joining the Maverick Rebellion today. Together, my subscribers are more than just people. We are Mavericks who desire to change the gaming stereotypes and bring a better sense of community to YouTube. Individually, we can accomplish so much, but united, we can change how the world views gaming. Please consider joining our cause and subscribe today, and you'll be part of something bigger. You'll be part of an army and part of a rebellion against injustice. Mavericks unite. I am Protomario, and I approve this message.